I think we are starting now the recording, and we are going to start the meeting now with our with Hadi, our Honorary Secretary. Hadi, you are there?
Hi, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it's so good to have all of you participate in this international speaker series. And there's no better start to this series than with Mr. Tom Gump. He is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to Rotary. Always an interesting discussion, always interesting insights into the halls of Rotary International and the thought process that goes behind it, and the innovation and the new creative ideas that are coming out. Looking forward to today's session, looking forward to many more sessions with all of you present. Thank you for all being here again, and it's up to you now, Naveen.
Okay, we'll have our president welcoming everyone, and then we will have our district governor, and then we are going to have our speaker. I will introduce our speaker and everyone else. So, Amani?
Hi, Niveen. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Amani.
Can you listen? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let's start. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, fellow Rotarians, and friends from around the world. It's my honor and pleasure as president of Rotary Al-Tahrir Club to welcome you to the first session of our international speaker series this year. We are especially honored to have with us today our distinguished speaker, Rotary International Director Tom Gump. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to past President Naveen Abdel Khaliq for having arranged this exceptional international event. A warm welcome as well to all Rotary directors, Rotary trustees, district governors, assistant governors, committee chairs, cadre advisors, and every Rotarian joining us from across the globe. We are delighted to have participants representing more than 20 countries, making this a truly international Rotary gathering. I would also like to extend a special welcome to District Governor Dr. Hisham Shawi and District Governor Michelle from District 7780, whose presence adds great value to this event. I'm confident that today's session will be both inspiring and enriching, offering valuable insights and strengthening the bond of friendship and service that unite us through Rotary. Thank you for joining us. And now let's get back to Naveen.
Okay, thank you, President Amani. I got to understand that our co-host, District Governor, is not here, but maybe Carolyn, would you like to say any welcome notes on behalf of the District 7780?
I'd be happy to. On behalf of my district governor, Michelle Boyce-Gilbody, greetings from District 7780. We are a district in the northeastern part of the United States, very interested in the internationality of Rotary, and I applaud your club and district and Naveen and Nancy for organizing this. Someone said earlier when we were chatting that this is what Rotary is all about, is meeting friends, meeting colleagues from all over the world. And this is how we really move things forward, form relationships, form networks, and this is the heart of Rotary. So thank you for the invitation to participate, and we're thrilled to be a part of it.
Thank you, Carolyn, for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. And now I would like to actually present, I'm going to say the Musketeer Hisham Shawi, our district governor. Maybe very few he would know why I'm saying the Musketeer. We have the three Musketeers, and the three Musketeers were, they have always been, now past district governor, Yasir Nashat, current district governor, Hisham Shawi, and myself. We have always posed in a trio pictures where the three of us would be there. So standing like the three musketeers. So I would like to welcome our district governor, Hisham Shawi, to give us our welcome notes. And thank you for accepting and being a host as well with us.
Thank you so much, Niveen. And we come back to the Three Musketeers. We are always all for one and one for all. This is part of service of ourselves, but this is in it's a different way. We always work together to have a better Rotary and the better programs in Egypt and all around the world. First, I have to thank you again, Niveen, for just a great gathering with very eminent speakers. And of course, I welcome Tom Gump for being with us. And we are everybody actually in Egypt and around the world would like to hear and follow his points because I'm sure it's very, very fruitful and very, very helpful. And the group you have is I just can't start saying hello to everyone, but I say hello to everybody and with the names because there is Gita, there is a big Tom and Bell, Bob, a big group, and Nancy, and it's a big group. And if I continue talking, I will leave no time for Tom. So I just have stopped here and enjoy to be a listener, which I prefer, of course, than better to be speaker. So I would love to say welcome everybody. We're happy to have you. It's one of a group of meetings conducted and over prepared by Nancy and Niveen. So thank you both of you for this start. And I think I have to go and leave the phone to Tom and waiting for an extraordinary presentation. Thank you so, Tom, for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hisham.
Thank you, District Governor. And thank you, everyone. And before we start, I actually would love to thank all the clubs that are joining us from all over. We have, as we said, more than 20 countries represented, and everybody is keen. Tom has always been the star that we start with our international speakers series. This is our 6 years. Actually, the international speaker series started with the COVID. In 2020, we didn't know what to do. I was just back from India from District 3030 conference, and I had met a very interesting speaker where we started actually our international Zoom series. And that was fantastic. And since then, we did not stop it because we felt that this is how we can all get together. It's a chance. We have our friends and our clubs from District 2452, and we have our friends from India, from the States, from Turkey, and from Pakistan, from India, from Nepal, from Australia also. I don't want to forget the country. We have from Germany also. So we have many representations, and everybody is keen. I'd like also, I don't want to be biased, but I would love to also welcome our board directors of the Artificial Intelligence Rotary Fellowship. They are all here. And also, I would like to welcome the chair of the Rotary Global History Fellowship. He is with us here as well. And Carolyn is from the board of the BELRAC also. So we actually have a lot of the fellowships and the leaders of the fellowships and the action groups with us here. It's I'm really honored that you have accepted the invitation. And thank you to Nancy, who has been with me. And very, very
Infinity.
thanks. If you have liked the poster, then
Hadi.
I told Hadi what to do. If you don't like it, then Hadi did it all by himself. And also, I'd like to thank our president who actually supported to have these meetings also this year as well. So now we start. I would like also very special thanks for our trustees and directors who are here. And Geeta, this is, I think, our past trustee, Geeta, she never misses a meeting. So I have a very, very soft spot for her, and she has always been there with us, and Pearl also. So we will start from here, and we will start by introducing Tom. So it's now time. And Tom, you are co-host, so that if there is once you want to share your presentation, you can. So Tom is Thomas Anthony Gump. He is a director of the Rotary International 2026-2028 Rotary Club of Edina Morningside. How do I pronounce it? Am I pronouncing it right?
Edina, but close enough.
Edina, okay. Morningside, okay. Minnesota, USA. And Tom Gump says the best part of Rotary is the friends you make. He has traveled the Rotary world, becoming an honorary member in dozens of Rotary clubs. Gump embodies the first two words of Rotary's vision statement, together we. He has brought in many members and has helped helped in actually chartering numerous new clubs, including clubs to serve veterans and seek and end human trafficking, both of which are the first of their kind in the world. He united 5 clubs to form a Rotary Community Corps to serve hundreds of refugees, led his district to become the 4th globally to have all its clubs designed as 100% Paul Harris fellow clubs. Wow. It is very tough for us to have one club, let alone having a whole district as 100% Paul Harris. He brought 3 districts together to have legislation passed and to state to allow Rotary license plates for motorcycles, cars, and trucks, brought together multiple districts to secure the bid for Minneapolis, Minnesota to host the 2028 Rotary International Convention, and helped form the Artificial Intelligence Rotary Fellowship. Gump serves as chair of the host organizing committee for the 2028 convention. And I think now you have the first 100 members in the convention for 2028. And he previously served as aide to the RI president, chaired Rotary International's Membership Growth Committee, was an International Assembly Learning Facilitator, and a president's representative in multiple times. He chairs the MDP Alliance, a consortium of multi-district presidents-elect learning events. Gump is committed to the Rotary Foundation, his club's foundation, and the service projects they fund. He has worked on or led more than 20 global grants, district and club grants, totaling more than $4 million. He is also committed to Rotary's fight to eradicate polio after meeting frontline polio workers in Pakistan. And he always says it's not an if, it's a when. Gump and his wife have provided for an endowment gift through their estate that will establish the Thomas and Catherine Gump Family Peace Fund. They support the Rotary Foundation as major donors, Bequest Society members, multiple Paul Harris Fellows, benefactors, sustaining members, and Polio Plus Society members. The Gump family has hosted 7 long-term Rotary Youth Exchange students. Outside Rotary, Gump is active in his church, has served as China Community Foundation president, and has carried the Olympic torch in 2 Olympic Games. Wow. So
Wow.
this is something. GUMP received RI Service Above Self Award and is gold member of its membership society for new member sponsors. The Rotary Foundation has awarded GUMP its citation for meritorious service and regional service award for a polio-free world. Since 2013, GUMP has been the owner and managing broker of A1 Asset Management Limited Liability Company, a commercial real estate firm in Minneapolis. He is an attorney licensed in 4 states and holds a commercial broker's license. So I can speak all night, but I think we need to listen and learn more about the action plan and how we can make an impact with our Rotary. And again, as I said, I would like to, we have people from all over. We have people also from Uganda and Kenya and Zambia. So with South Africa. So looking forward to our talk. Tom Gump, the floor is all yours.
Well, thank you so much, Naveen. And thank you, Naveen and Nancy, for bringing this all together. You know, I love the vibe here today. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to be here with all of you. You know, I joined Rotary, as Hattie was saying, to have a few friends. I was thinking they'd be local friends, and I didn't realize that 13 years later, I have friends from all around the world. And you mentioned the wonderful work that Daniel and Gita and Pearl have all done, and the Three Musketeers. And I realize all that, but then I also realize the kindness they show when you visit them. Gita opening up her home, and you know, Pearl gave me an outfit for Nigeria to wear at this past international convention. And of course, Daniel and Marlene have always been so kind to me. So you're right, Hattie, that's the best part of Rotary. And to have 230 registered here from all over the world, we do have that global look. And it's one of the strengths that we have in Rotary. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion today. And you know, it's always interesting because sometimes people ask you to speak and they let you speak on what you want to speak. But I love Naveen because she always challenges me. And it's interesting because you might think you're too busy to speak at an event and to talk and to learn from others. But I tell you, Naveen was a blessing to me in so many ways. But she asked me to do something atypical today. And she wanted me to talk about what's going on with the Rotary Action Plan and how is it really being operationalized and actually getting to the clubs. And so I've been a bit busy traveling to a few places. So I asked staff to help me out. And staff has just finished conducting another group of surveys from around the world, and we'll talk about what countries, and also interviews to come up with some really interesting findings and insights from that. So we're going to talk about that. But what I need all of you to help me with is they leave it at what these findings are, but I need to hear from all of you about what we can do to actually take those findings and have concrete things that we can implement actually in Cairo and Pakistan and Japan and the United States and Germany and Uganda and Zimbabwe, Nepal and Australia and everywhere else that Naveen mentioned. So this really is going to be a discussion. So please, at any time, just ask, even if it's in the middle of the presentation, because I want to learn from all of you as well. So I need your help with that. So let's go ahead and get started here. And I have a video that I would like to, PowerPoint I'd like to share with you to go over what we've most recently learned. And this, we're lucky because this is the first time that we've ever done this presentation. Today is the first time anyone's ever seen this. And I'd like to thank staff for helping me put the PowerPoint together. And thank you in advance for how you're going to help me improve it with those actual concrete examples. So let's talk about the action plan, what the action plan is. A hard subject, but we're going to make it fun and we're going to make it useful. Because it's funny, when you talk about the interviews that staff has conducted around the world, there's some places, and India is a good example, where they're doing everything that they should be doing, But the comments from India were specifically that we didn't know that we were doing it. So it's interesting. The 2 years ago at the International Convention, I was leading a breakout session about strategic planning with the help of staff, with the help of a director, Chris Etienne, who was leading the Action Plan Champions at the time. And it was a large audience. There was maybe 700 people or so. And I saw my incoming president for my club, Bokar Kane. And so I asked him a question about the strategic plan. Our action plan is what we call it. And his eyes kind of glazed over and he didn't know how to answer it. He just came because he was my friend, like all of you. Thank you so much for coming today. And again, like the governor, I wish I could mention all your names, but I see you all and you all make me happy and put a smile on my face. Bokar didn't know the action plan or what it was. Luckily, my friend Andrea Krause, I don't know if you know her, at the time she was an action plan champion and she was on the strategic planning committee and she jumped up and answered the question. But it's interesting because Bokar started his year, and after that convention, like a week later, we were having our first meeting of the year at my club in Edina, Minnesota. And he talked about the action plan. And what he said was he was going to take everything that we did in our club and he was going to see if it fit into those 4 action plan priorities. Do we have any action plan champions on the call today? Are there any of you that are action plan champions? I see a lot of coordinators there, and I know no matter what coordinator position you're in, whether it be membership, whether it be foundation, whether it be public image, like Najad, you use the action plan. So, but we have to make sure that everyone uses it. So let's talk. So, anyways, at the end of the year, throughout the meeting, everything we did, if we had a social or whatever, Bokar would put what action plan priority that it fit in. And if it didn't fit in an action plan priority, he did what President Yinka says and got rid of that program. Well, we did grow by 14 members by the end of the year. So I really do believe this works. But let's find out where we are in the world about membership survey findings. And it's great to be in this international setting. This past weekend I was in Texas and they wanted to know how they can use the action plan to grow Texas. But today we're going to be talking about what is going around in the world and the different ideas that people have. So, of the action plan priorities, we have 4 of them. 4 seems to be the magic number in Rotary, if you haven't noticed. We had 4 founding fathers. We have the 4-way test. We have 4 action plan priorities. It's just interesting. So if you don't know what the Rotary number is, today I'm declaring it's 4. But we do a leadership survey once a year and an all membership survey. But the leadership survey, we talk to the district governors, we talk to the presidents, and we say at the ground level, because we all know where Rotary happens, it doesn't happen in the 18th floor when the board of directors is meetings, it happens at the club level. If we're going to grow Rotary, it has to happen at the club. If we're going to raise money for the foundation, so it'd be well spent, Gita will tell you it's the members that are going to do that. So we ask the leaders what's the most important. They say engagement. Of all the 4 action plan priorities, they say engagement is the most important. Of course, if we engage our members with wonderful service projects and other ways, when a new member comes in, if we immediately assign them to committee so they get to know people, they have someone to have breakfast, and lunch with, that's engagement. And that's the most important. We listen to our members. We're participant-centered in Rotary, and they say engagement's the most important. So we know that the action plan is doing such a great work when we have board of directors meetings, when there's trustee meetings. We look at where does this fit in the action plan priorities, and eventually all of this leads to growing Rotary. And of course, why do we want to grow Rotary? Because we want to do more good in the world, more hands and hearts for service. And we used to structure everything around the 3-legged stool, where we talk about membership, we talk about foundation, we talk about public image, we divide them all up when we had different learning events. Well, that was one way to do it. But what we've been trying to do over the last few years is have the most important people in setting the culture in Rotary, that's our club presidents, we wanted to get to them. So we went to what used to be called the Multi-District Pets Alliance. Now it's called the MDP Alliance. Sorry for all the acronyms, but now that some are pets and some are PELs, we thought multi-district president was the best way to talk about it. So once a year in July, we bring the organizers from around the world of these president-elect learning. And for the last 3 years, we've been saying, why don't you move away from structuring the way you've always structured on the three-legged stool, and why don't you structure it around the action plan? Because it goes into more detail. It goes into more priorities that help us grow Rotary. So we're all about awareness and implementation now. So it's been around for years now, but it's only being used really mostly at the board level and the trustee level. So we're trying to get it down to the clubs. And so as I traveled to different pets during pet season the last few years, it's really taken off, and we've seen more of that. Now, what you need to know is now that it's kind of getting to the clubs, and we're still getting it to the clubs, the other thing that we're going to be pushing messaging wise is this 2030 membership goals. And this talk isn't about that, but that's the other thing we're trying to push. But the action plan is not going away. It's how we structure things in Rotary. So what the surveys and interviews have told us is that the action plan has increased, the knowledge of it has increased in both Rotarians and Rotaractors, like Rotary. But I know all you public image people know, and Najat will tell you this, people out there in the world might know about Rotary, but they don't know what Rotary means. And the action plan, what we found out when we talked to people around the world is they know there's an action plan, but it's somewhere up in the ethereal realm, and it's not translating into concrete actions. So when we talk about these things, I want to hear from you about the concrete way that we can do these things, but we can also know that we're following the action plan when we do these things. Because hooking up with that strategy, with what we're doing, will help us eliminate the things that we don't need, because we don't have time to do everything. So the adoption of the action plan still remains limited at the club level. That means that the clubs have kind of heard about it. Presidents are starting to talk about it. But when we as speakers and we as leaders on this call go and talk about the action plan, please don't just talk about those buzzwords of enhancing participant engagement. Don't just talk about we need to adapt. Don't just talk about we need to enhance participant engagement. Let's talk about the specific things we can actually do that we can take back to our clubs, like Bokar, my president, did that year, and actually use this. So that's what we're trying to emphasize today. So it's interesting when we try to adopt our 2030 goal, which is not like our former membership goals. It's different for a number of reasons. But what the board decided to do is actually allocate funds to have regional membership seminars. And we had one in Zurich 2 weeks ago. We just had in Thailand this past weekend. People are just coming home from that now. We have one in North America, August 17th and 18th, and in Mexico for South America, 20th through 21st. So we're bringing Rotary coordinators together with public image coordinators, and they're giving numbers for the first time from staff on how we have to reach this goal. It's not the same goal for everyone. It was based on how you're growing or how you're not growing, what you should increase. Why do I take time to talk about that? Because that is showing that there's regional differences. It's interesting that the areas of the world that have best knowledge of the action plan are actually using the action plan are actually growing. And you know, that might sound like I'm just a mouthpiece for staff saying that, but the numbers actually show that. I see Carolyn Johnson smiling. That must be the thing that she was thinking. It is actually true. The areas of the world that are growing are actually using this. And some are doing it and don't even know they're doing it. And we'll talk about that a little bit. So, action plan focus groups. We did these surveys. We have this focus groups. Why do we just not stop at surveys? Because when we ask these open-ended questions, we get more knowledge of what's going on in particular areas of the world. And what works in certain areas of the world doesn't work in other areas of the world. So these are the countries that are participating in the focus groups and participate in the surveys. And it's interesting because they have different things that work in terms of growing Rotary and getting people involved in Rotary. Australia, Brazil, Canada, France. Naveen, it kind of sounds like the list that you went through of attendees today. So I'm so glad we have them. And I would love for you to all talk about if and staff and I are right or wrong on these conclusions. Yeah. The purpose today is understand how clubs use the action plan and if they're using the action plan. So that's our overall goal today. Let's see how we can do that. So let's talk about the findings. So again, there's broad awareness and conceptual agreement with the action plan. And it's interesting. We haven't found any area of the world that's against the action plan, but what we found out is translation into different areas. Everything doesn't translate exactly from what we put in it to how it actually gets to the end person. And we're going to talk about that. So right now, most people, after years of talking about it, most people realize there is an action plan. They're in favor of it, or they don't understand it, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of people against the action plan. So we have a good concept, we just have to regionalize it. So I believe the 2030 membership growth plan is going to work because we have those regional areas. We have to do the same thing with the action plan. So Naveen, next time give me an easier topic to talk about, okay?
I will try.
No, keep telling me, because that's the way I grow it. That's the way I learn from all of you. So, broad awareness, conceptual agreement. So, clubs are doing work that aligns with the action plan, but some clubs are doing it and don't know they're doing it. Some clubs are not doing it, but they don't know what they should be doing, so they're just doing what they continue to do. An example would be my club for years. We've been around for a while, 65 years or so. And for a while there, we were doing the same projects. We pick up trash along the highway to clean the highway, which is good. I mean, it's fun. I do it with my friends. We go to breakfast or lunch after. So it's fun. But when we took a survey and found out what people really wanted to do, what they wanted to do is they wanted to serve at that time the Afghan refugees because we were getting so many of them in the state where I live. So it's interesting. We thought that and we did, Naveen mentioned this, we brought those 5 clubs together and we brought every 2 weeks we'd get together with our new neighbors, our refugee friends. And we thought we would grow by actually adding them to our clubs. And a few of them joined. Some of them got jobs from some of the people who worked in our clubs. Some of them got jobs from other people who picked them up with. And it was great for our clubs because the local governments would come out, the mayors would come out, some national leaders would come who they were in town. We fixed them up with other nonprofits. But what we found out is because we did that survey and we listened to our clubs, a lot of our members, you know how it is, they stop coming to meetings and they maybe stop coming to socials and they stop coming to projects. When you ask them what projects they want to do and you do those projects, our membership grew in that way because we were doing what they wanted. So we use the action plan to get there. Okay, so alignment is often subconscious rather than intentional. And this was the story I was telling you about India, that India was growing and growing really well and still are. But when we looked at what they did and we told them what the action plan was, they were doing it, but they did not know that. They were using the action plan. So what we want to do is we want people to know the action plan. And if they're doing things that really don't fall into, enhancing participant engagement or growing our reach or adapting, then you shouldn't do those because we could only do things that make sense or we're not going to be able to grow. So where misalignment begins, it's interesting. So did you ever do that game where you tell one person, you whisper in their ear something, and then they go down the line, and then when you go through a dozen or so people, it's totally different? I can say, Naveen ate a piece of pepperoni pizza.
Yeah.
But by the end, when Nancy hears it, it's Naveen bought a pink purse and said it had a piece of pepperoni pizza. That's kind of what's happening with the action plan, because it's not always what we're saying isn't being translated and doesn't always fit into the regional places. And that's why we have to have this regional adaptability. And we cannot just, when we get the videos and we talk about the importance of impact, and we talk about measurement, that's great. But unless we say, look at polio and look at what we do, look at, remember what Ian Risley wanted us to do? He wanted us to actually plant trees. We can't just say you have to talk about impact. We have to say, okay, we planted trees and that was an outcome. We had a million, whatever number of trees, but we have to talk about the impact. That's what the action plan does. The impact was we stopped deforestation in these areas. We added to the oxygen level. We have to talk about that. So let's not talk about just those buzzwords in the action plan. Let's talk about what we can do to make our members in our club actually understand it, make it concrete. So, we can't just have goals. We can't just hope. Hope is not a strategy. We have to be intentional. We have to intentionally use the action plan. And we have to use these concrete examples. So if you remember anything today, when you talk about the action plan, let's find an example for each one. What's going on? We could talk about the cervical cancer. Bill said Bill Dendy, had chair of the audit committees on here today. I love what Bill did. He was assigned by President Stephanie to go as a president's rep to Egypt. And I told him he was going to love all of you in Egypt, all my friends in Egypt. But Bill not only went, he made friends there, and now he's going back there regularly. I applaud you. And Bill, I ran into Bobby Barnes in Texas, in Pflugerville, Texas, on Saturday, and she's super excited about going there and looking at that grant and how it works. And as I was excited, she'll be more excited when she sees it. So we have goals, but let's intentionally use the action plan to reach those goals. Okay, so how the action plan reaches the club. Again, it doesn't happen in Rotary unless it happens at the club. We need to push the action plan at our district meetings and our district trainings. Over the last few years, we've been good at changing the President-elect's club and doing this. There's a staff person, Amy Hopkins, in the learning division of Rotary. She's just redone the President-elect's curriculum. And it was unveiled at the MDP Alliance 2 weekends ago. It'll soon be on the Learning Center. We need to do this with our district meetings. So we know just to have this as an abstract thought, let's talk about it. Let's talk about concrete at our district meetings and all our learnings and all our trainings. If you need a structure, don't just always follow the same structure you did. I know I might sound like I'm repeating things, but this is important. So, as we talked about, don't forget the message changes as it travels. And that's why I want today not just to talk about these findings, but I want to talk about concrete things we can do. Because if you talk about a project and how it worked, somehow that's easier to understand than talk about enhancing participant engagement. I can talk about enhancing participant engagement all day. It does not work at the club level. It doesn't work at the district level. What works is saying, you know how we do it? We bring in youth exchange students. If your club doesn't have a youth exchange student, you might think you're too small to do it, pair up with another club, get a youth exchange student, because you want that excitement of someone leaving Egypt, going to somewhere in America. It doesn't have to be New York. It doesn't have to be a big city. It could be a farm. They come back, they're excited about it. That's enhancing participant engagement, getting your members to be a host family. So let's talk about it at that level. Regional adaptability is a translation issue, not resistance. So when we talk to areas of the world, you saw the list of countries, and most of those countries are represented, I'm proud to say here today. Let's talk to them about what the action, let's give those examples and not just talk about the verbiage. It's our job, they came up with this great action plan, talking to Rotarians and people outside of Rotary. Now we're trying to use it. But I think our biggest flaw in Rotary is we don't get it to the clubs because we're too much talking at the high level. We need to get to the clubs. Okay, expand our reach. That's the largest cultural variant among the questions. Okay, what does that mean to me, and how do I explain it? How I'm going to explain it to my club? Expanding our reach, we could talk about it. We could talk about we need diversity. We need to reach out. We need to do things. But I want to talk about how do we actually do this? You know, I'm proud of my son. You know, Naveen's biased about the Artificial Intelligence Fellowship. I'm biased about that too, but I'm biased about my son. And I've been thinking about him because he just came home from college. He's finished his second year in college. This has a point. He just came home over the weekend. We're going to a movie tonight. Then he goes to London for a year to do his junior year abroad. So I think he's a good example of expanding our reach. You know what? I'm the director liaison to the strategic planning committee. So I spent a lot of time thinking about the future of Rotary, a lot of time thinking about the action plan. And there was a slide, either at our first meeting or maybe it was our introduction to the committee, our orientation, that listed our competitors. And on that slide was TEDx, because you know a lot of our traditional clubs, they have meetings. Well, maybe you don't need to go to a meeting, maybe you can just get a TEDx talk. I tend to not think about, and thank you, Naveen, for that great introduction, because I tend to not think about things as competitors. I try to think about things in terms of partnerships. And my son, when he went to his university, there was no Rotary Club. So with the help of others, he started a Rotary Club. It grew to like 38. Then they started a second Rotary Club. So what did they do for their service projects? Well, they started by doing the same projects that the Rotarians were doing. So if the Rotarians would volunteer at the zoo, the Rotaractors would come and volunteer at the zoo. So after their second year, when my son was a sophomore, he was talking to his friends and they said, we want to have a greater reach. We want to expand our reach. They also wanted to have more impact. So what did they do? They decided they were going to have a TED Talk. So is it our competitor? Maybe, maybe not. So he and my wife flew to Atlanta, spent a bunch of money to be licensed to give a TED Talk to over 100 people. My wife absolutely loved it. They had all these great speakers from around the world. The first African American ballerina spoke, and all these great speakers. So, of course, as a dad, I'm worried about this. And I asked him a few times, well, how's your budget coming along? Oh, don't worry, Dad, don't worry. But it ended up being great. And I went up for it. They had over 200 people. They had 16 speakers. But what does this have to do with expanding our reach? And what does it have to do with growing Rotary? I walked in and I was so happy. There was this huge screen. It must have been 25 feet long, you know, back of the stage. It must have been about 12 feet high. And it had all the sponsors. And there were Rotary clubs and there were Rotary clubs. But all those volunteers that worked that day, they all had their Rotary shirts on. You know, they saw the Rotary. And so that city, it was at a big convention center called the Deck in Duluth. It's about 3 hours north of me. So it made me happy that that Rotary Club, and when I travel the world, these Rotary clubs and these Interact clubs is not just Rotary clubs. They're doing amazing things. I mean, Morocco, little kids there after an earthquake, fathers were in the field, they died. Gross overgeneralization, but a lot of people died, mostly the workers of the family. The mothers then had to work when the fathers died. Nobody was teaching the schools. They raised $600,000 to build this wonderful school with 2 commercial kitchens, apartments for the people, you know, and that was Rotaract kids, and they were getting money from like Coca-Cola, McDonald's in the mountains of Morocco. But I like to talk about the stories that I know. And so my son made me proud of Rotary because everywhere he went, there were Rotary shirts. And so people were asking, what's Rotary about? So that city got to know Rotary because they did that. And there's so many different examples. But what I want us to do is I want us to share those examples and not just talk about expanding our reach, but talk about how we do it. So they have an understanding of the action plan, but instead of doing a 20-minute presentation with all the buzzwords, talk about the concrete things. So that's the one that is misunderstood. I thought Jane might have had a question. Sorry. Jane, if you have a question, we could get to it now or later. Just let me know. So expanding our reach, exclusivity and tradition. So what works in one club might not work in another. We talked about all those different countries. It was interesting when we interviewed the folks from Germany. What Germany said is, we need to be exclusive. That's how it works in Germany. If we only invite CEOs and we make them an exclusive membership, they stay in there, they don't leave. Of course, we all know that retention is an important part, right? We bring in 150,000 people each year. We lose a little bit more than 150,000. In Germany, it works to be exclusive. In Istanbul, after the peace conference, we went to an all-male club. And of course, Stephanie was offended that it was an all-male club and there were no females in there. And as we went to different parts of the world, Honduras and other places, yes, there are all male clubs. There are also all female clubs. I try not to, my strategy after traveling for 2.5 years with Stephanie was, if the club is working, tell the females to start their own club or suggest to them. You can't tell anybody to do anything. You can't mandate from on high, but, start a new club that works for them. And this isn't true in just specific areas of the world. Like in the US, in Atlanta, that's in Southeast United States. Atlanta is a big city. It's probably the 8th largest. Lots of money, that kind of thing. They only have CEOs. They have males and female CEOs, but they have to invite. You can't go in and say, I want to be a part of your club. That works for them. I don't think necessarily lecturing that club. You can suggest maybe you start a satellite club, things like that. I think it's better to start another club. Was there a question? I thought I saw a hand go up. Sorry if I'm not. Naveen, can you tell me or Nancy, if there's hands that go up, and I'll be happy to take questions.
Yes, there was a hand up. Maybe they mute. I saw the hand up and then it disappeared.
Okay. Then tradition. Tradition, if tradition is important in a club, you should have it. If the Rotary Club of Madras has been around in India for 109 years and they want to do something that's tradition, you can keep it. If we have people who are celebrating 50 years of perfect attendance, you can keep it. If Rotary International doesn't have attendance, then that's okay. What I'm saying is, when we're expanding our reach, there's no right answer for everyone. I wish there was a silver bullet, but working for years on membership, that's kind of my deal. What the young people call my jam is membership. I was served on the membership committee and was chair of that committee. I can tell you, having members all over, what they do in Thailand might be different than they do in Vietnam, even though they're kind of close. In Thailand, they respect their elders. So in a 3,000 person district, they have somewhere like 150 clubs. In the US, in my 3,000 person district, we have 70 clubs. That's because they don't want to challenge their elders, so they start a new club. Places like Vietnam, even though it's right next door, they're change. So their clubs change. Whatever works for them, works for them. So we got to balance the exclusivity and tradition. What works for one doesn't work for the other. So we have to listen to each other. We have to learn from each other. I feel like being here today, I'm going to be smarter because I'm going to hear about all the things that you do. And that's why I love traveling the world. I love learning from Rotarians about what works and then sharing it with others. And that's what I want all of you to do. When you get this knowledge today, what these surveys are going, go ahead and share it. But share it at the club, share it at the district, and share the examples of what you do. So inclusion and demographic diversity. Again, it works. But we have to be careful when we talk about diversity. In the US, we tend to equate diversity with race, and it's not all about race. We have to have diversity of opinion. And why do we do that? Because our clubs are stronger if we have more than one opinion. If we have one set of people who think the same way, and that could be because they're all the same race, it could be because they're all the same age, it could be because they're all the same whatever demographic, they're not going to have creative solutions because when they have a problem, they're going to face it with one way. If we have diversity, it works. And I'm not saying you can't have an all-gender club. I'm an honorary member and the only male member of Lipa West in the Philippines. And I love that club. They're all ladies. They all have matching outfits, and they're all singers and dancers. And they go to different districts and they entertain at the district conferences, and they're like professional level. They're really, really, but I'm the token white guy as the honorary member in that club. But I can tell you that club does more than just sing and dance and entertain. They do all kinds of great projects. So whatever works for you, whatever make our members feel comfortable, you know, if it works for them, we should applaud that. If something doesn't work for somebody, we need to get them in a new club and let them form their own club. And we need to make sure that when they form their own club, it's their club. I don't want to ever be, when I'm starting another club, I don't want it to be a mini Tom club where they meet like we do on a Tuesday morning at a country club over breakfast with a speaker, because that works for me. But some of my friends, they might not. They want to make, in the US, we take our kids to the school bus in the morning. And some people like my wife are retired. They don't want to meet in the morning. I like to go in, have that hour meeting, get to my club, get to my work. She likes to sleep in, do her things, and go in the afternoon and be a little more casual about it. So what's different is okay. Implementation requires clarity and requires local adaptability. So when we're talking about these things, we have to let people understand it. I think the best way to understand it is to give examples and give it local examples, and local adaptability. I think about Maidenham Bridge in the UK and Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland. There's a club there that meets on Sundays. They meet with their kids. They play bridge and the kids play with themselves. They drink coffee at a local coffee shop. That works for them. It might not work in Istanbul with that big meeting that we talked about. It might not work in Atlanta when they have all the CEOs, but it works there. That's okay. We can grow. So I kind of like to approach things in Rotary as a holistic approach. I really don't, there's some people who say it's all about bringing people in to grow so we could do more good. Some people say it's all about retaining our members. Some people say it's all about forming new clubs. It's all about the culture of all of that. But when I think about it as there's no silver bullet. We have to do all of those things, and we have to do all those things at the same time. We do have to bring new people in. We do have to listen to our current members and make them feel comfortable so that they stay. And we do have to make our area of the world comfortable and our clubs comfortable so we welcome new people. Naveen was so kind to talk about the convention coming up in North America. And the reason that we put that application in for all those years, I've been working on it since we got preliminary approval in 2018, so 8 years, is because it's going to give us a chance to grow. Rotary puts some money into the convention area they hire outside public relation firms to put up billboards and street signs, whatever works, electronic ads, whatever works in that area. The reason I was really pushing to have the convention come to our region is because I wanted us to grow. Because North America is one of those areas that's not growing as fast as it should right now. So I figure 2028 is halfway to the 2030 goal. If we get our clubs ready to receive all those new members because all that good publicity, we can do it. So if I ever speak about we got to form new clubs, I'm not against our traditional clubs. What I'm saying is we have to keep adapting. So we're not trying to do away with something. We're trying to make our current clubs and our new clubs that we're forming and nurturing modern so they fit in. Okay, what does that really mean in reality, getting it down to the brass tacks here? If our meetings are too rigid, talk to our folks, do a survey once a year, because remember, people are coming in, people are leaving, so we have a different culture by the end of the year that we had in the beginning of the year. Don't be resistant to having meetings like we are here. If a hybrid meeting works, it works. There was a club in Colorado that was dying. It was a virtual club. They reached out for help. We brought in Rotex, which are the people who are former youth exchange students who interact between the youth exchange students and the host family. We brought them in, tons of energy. Now it's growing. We have a club in our district, the Global Travelers. They meet online. They're like 170 members now. They've only been around for 5 years. They do service projects in person 4 times a year. Why is that growing? Because people want to do service projects. They want to get together, but they don't want to get together for meetings. Don't be resistant to new ideas. Whenever you start anything, when we started pushing these cause-based clubs for years, people said, no, you can't have cause-based clubs. We'll have clubs that are pro-gun and anti-gun and everything else. I said, these are Rotarians. They're all about service. The Veterans Club is about service, servicing veterans. It's not being a veteran. We have non-veterans in there whose family members are in active military. Don't be resistant. It took us years to get that going, but now it's going. When we started talking about the importance of the club environment, club culture, it took us years to get there. We got there. Now what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the action plan and the 2030 membership goal into the clubs and districts. Younger voices are not fully empowered. For years, the Rotaractors are on a different database. They're on PeopleSoft. They're not on Oracle yet, but there's a transition happening because PeopleSoft's no longer being supported, that platform, that computer platform. When I go to MDIOs and different kind of Rotaractor involving things, what they tell me is we're invited to things, but we're not made full participants. That's in North America. That's the Ascension MDIO. Now you go to Africa, it's a different deal. All the Rotaractors, they are involved, and those Rotaractor numbers are growing. I love going to Uganda and all those places. We have people from several different places from Africa. I love going there because they're treated as full partners. We can't just say park our cars, do our social media, and not include them in the decision making and make them full partners. Because if we don't, they're not going to feel part of it. Rotaractors do not buy third-party vendor software. Like where I live, we have DACDB, we have Club Runner, those kind of programs where we enter the information, it goes to Rotary. Rotary clubs don't want to buy that. They want to enter it onto the platform in Rotary. So if that's not easy, that's a problem. Okay, so what does this mean? What does all this big strategic talk mean? And what can we take with these findings to make this all work and make us better? We know conceptual alignment exists. People are okay with the action plan. Operational alignment does not. What does that mean? In regular speak, the clubs don't get the action plan. They know it exists. They're not opposed to it, but we have to make it simple to them. 2, the action plan is respected, but not consistently used as a planning tool. We got to get the presidents to take their objectives for the year, compare it to the action plan and say, does it work or does it not work? Now, there's a movement inside of Rotary that maybe we should get an action plan coordinator like we have for membership, we have for public image, we have for the foundation. Does that make sense or does it not? I don't know. It needs to be studied. We have, with the assistants, we have over 800 coordinators, and we have what we call the GSS, sorry for the acronyms, Global Support System. And then we have the philanthropy side of that. Well, do we have too many coordinators? Is that too expensive? Are the current coordinators we have, they're charged in the policy and learning materials to use the action plan to do what they're doing? I don't know what the right answer is, but I know this, we got to get to the clubs, we have to do it. So let's work together to get to the right answer. And third, it's got to be regionalized, because what it means in Egypt, what it means in Cairo, I've been blessed to be able to help 2 clubs start. Jacqueline, raise your hand. Jacqueline started a wonderful club. She helped me help get that started with doctors from all over the world who are based out of Cairo or from Cairo. It's an amazing club, and watching their video at the end of the year when Najat does his, I forget what it's called, but Super Rotarian Clubs doing great projects. It's got a better name, sorry. But when I watch these videos of all the work that club has done since the first year it started, but what you do in Cairo is going to be different than when I start a club here with the help of others. So we got to get clarity of what this means. We got to explain it in simple terms. We got to be intentional in using the action plan at the club levels. If we want to create lasting impact, We have to use it. And these are the 4 questions I'm leaving you with. These are the 4 action plan priorities. Increase our impact. That means doing projects and measuring the outcome so we can talk to future partners. We can talk to people and say, look at what we're doing with polio. We're actually saving this many lives. We're having an impact. Expanding our reach. What does that mean and how do we do it? Well, we're going to come up with examples, and hopefully you have examples you can share with me today so I can learn more, and then we can go back and share them with others. Enhancing participant engagement. Okay, great words. It means a lot, but what that means is getting the Rotary actors involved, getting the youth exchange people involved, getting our people to work on projects. And it's okay if I had a friend who moved to Florida and a club only did local service projects. So she quit. And she was the one who helped me start Global Travelers because she wanted to do international projects. She was my international chair when I was club president. So it doesn't matter if some clubs do local, it doesn't matter if some clubs do global, but use those grants. Let people know we have grants to do projects so they're engaged. And then we need to adapt. We need to look at everything from our bylaws to how we run meetings. We need to do those surveys and see if people want a difference. And it could be as simple, you don't have to use the 7 real formal. It's good if you go to the Learning Center and get those club health checks, and there's health checks for the board, there's health checks for our members, but you could just ask people, do you like how we meet? Do you like when we meet? Do you like where we meet? Do you like our socials? Do you like our service projects? Just find out what they like and don't like. If you give them what they like, they stay, they feel like they belong, they'll bring in more members. If they don't like it, they're going to walk, and then they're going to tell people why they left. Okay, so I want us all to leave with one small change we can make in our club, or at least ask our club if we can make that change. So this is where I need your help. I need your input on the great things that we can do. There's lots of resources, and there's lots of people here. Reach out to the 3 Musketeers, reach out to me, reach out to Gita, reach out to Daniel, reach out to Pearl, and we'll help you. And there's a great website on My Rotary that has all these tools. So now the most important part of the day is I'd like to hear from you all the things that are going on where you are and answer your questions. I know we don't have a lot of time, but keep the conversation going. And we could always talk offline. Thank you for letting me be here with you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much for a very inspiring presentation and talk and sharing reviews. Now, I see that we have actually with us the newest Rotarian. She's just like 5 days old Rotarian. So she has just joined Rotary. Her name is Dalia. She is with us. And I think as you said, I mean, one of the key elements is engagement. I mean, if everyone is engaged in what they enjoy, not only engaged. I mean, I can have someone engaged in something that they don't like, and the result is they will simply leave. I mean, they will disappear, even if we keep calling them. And that's a challenge. That's a problem.
And Naveen, you're so right. But I want you to know consciously that you're following the action plan, because when you started the artificial intelligence fellowship, that's a way to be involved. But so many times our clubs, we go into a club and they say, this is how mine went. At Dyna Morningside, we do this, this, and this. I had no idea there was a noon club. I didn't know there was a district. I didn't know there was a region. I didn't know there was a zone. I didn't know there was Rotary International. I didn't know there was a fellowship. I didn't know the wine fellowship existed, which seems to be a popular one with some. There's all these. We need to get people to know that.
Yeah.
So let's hear the
I stayed for 6 years in our Rotary Club, Cairo Cosmopolitan, and it's an English-speaking club. I didn't know that there were Arabic-speaking clubs in the district.
Yeah. Yes.
I thought that there were no any other clubs in the district except the Sunrise, the Rotary Sunrise, the Le Coeur Champignon, only the clubs that our club mingled with, until I became the secretary, and in the pets. Wow. There are more people out there.
Rotary Club of Sif Al Bahrain is the first officially Arabic speaking. This is Osama.
Wonderful.
Hello, Said. Hello.
So we need to let everyone know that that exists. You know, we have 1% of our people go to the international convention. Only 1% are having their eyes open to the internationality of Rotary. Let's try to bring them to our district conferences. Let's try to bring them to our summits or our zone institutes. I love that, Naveen. So let's talk to the new person and find out why she joined and what we can do to keep her to stay.
Yeah, Dua Gohari, you are with us here. I hope that she is. Yes, Dua, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here from the beginning, and it's very, very interesting. It's my pleasure being with you today, and hopefully for the next time I will be there, inshallah. And thank you so much for hosting this meeting. It was very, very, very inspiring, and we have to work hard for these goals to be all done, inshallah.
Great.
Thank you.
So we have Dr. Raven Kram. I think he wants to say something. The Rotarians Coffee catch up. Yes.
Right.
I am part of the Rotarians Coffee Fellowship. They are great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, Raven.
It's a pleasure to hear you, Tom, again. I've been with Naveen for a couple of years. Since more or less kind of inception of this international series like 5 to 6 years ago. So you have said very straight to the point about the Rotary Action Plan, right? My 2 cents of what I would like to share is we would like to percolate that particular.
We can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
I'm unmute.
Yes.
Can you hear
Okay. Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. So regarding that Rotary Action Plan, which you have mentioned, I would like to put it in this way that from the top level, we need to ensure that this action plan, implementation of Rotary Action Plan has to be percolated all the way to the clubs and the presidents.
Yes.
As you said, there are 3 different groups. One is knowing the action plan and executing. Another one knowing but unable to execute. Third person is completely not aware of the plan, right? So in order to get all the second and third group people into the first group, whether it is PELS you call it or else any other learning events, because I can say few RLI people, including Naveen and Prakash, we do have a specific session on Rotary Action Plan in our RLI sessions, whether it's part 1 or part 2. In the same way, so we need to have a more developed and then proper explanation and utilization of this particular resource, which will truly benefit, because we are one of those byproducts of understanding the Rotary Action Plan and implementing at our club level, and we got benefited like tremendously. So probably that is something that we need to concentrate and get the things done to the bottom level as well. That's it.
I love that. I love that. The district governor after me, we had the 3 amigos, which was similar to your 3 musketeers. But we had 4 T-shirts, and I had to wear the adapt. I wanted to expand the reach, but I had the adapt. But just wearing a T-shirt, each one with 4 words, and all standing in line, getting our picture. And I used to be, when I talked about the action plan, I put the picture of the 4 of us there, and it just got people thinking about it. What does adapt mean? What do all those 4 mean? So you're right, making it simple, getting it visible at the clubs. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Father Joachim, you're raising your hand.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Thank you so much. I'm the current president of Cairo Cosmopolitan, Naveen's old club, actually. So an English-speaking club, half of us are foreigners, and half of us are Egyptians. We have the problem that we are having a big liquidity, I would say, because the foreigners are there like 2-3 years, then they are replaced, they are reposted to another place. So actually, I have this problem of retaining and getting new members. We are a breakfast club, like I understand you are a breakfast club. So this is another difficult situation. We love it, we all love it, and we are very active. We had some very great programs, global grants and stuff like that. But what, just like out of the blue, what do you think, how to really get new members out of the foreign community? I'm a foreigner myself, but I'm living here in Egypt since 30 years. But what do you think, getting foreigners involved?
You know, I think that's a great question. It's an excellent question. And I'm thinking about an ambassador that recently joined the Global Travelers Club. And he always wanted to be Rotary, but he was stationed at Outpost for 2 years. It would take him a year to find a spot. Then he'd start going to the club meetings, and then he'd start thinking about joining, and then he would be removed. So, is there any way to add maybe a virtual component so that when the people leave, they can still join in? Maybe at your breakfast meeting, have a hybrid meeting where they could actually join in. Because I am sure if they're moving to another place, it'd be nice to have friends and be connected to old friends, and I'm sure they'll be coming back. I would suggest that to give that a try because we are losing good members here and we don't need to.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. It's a good idea to try this way. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Achim, and I will talk with you on this.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm very much welcome. We meet anyhow, inshallah, soon.
Inshallah.
And it doesn't have to be for that. Naveen, it could be a district-wide e-club for every district. So when someone has a conflict in a club, maybe they could leave that club and go to the e-club and stay there forever, or maybe find another club that they're interested in.
Yeah.
But that goes back to that new member orientation where we need to let people know there's also a district-wide e-club. If you have,
this is a perfect idea.
Yeah. Okay, I think we had in order. We have Prakash, we have Osama, Shahabuddin, Prakash, Patrick, and then Jacqueline. Okay, so in this order, your questions. So we'll start with Osama, then Prakash, then Patrick, and then Jacqueline.
Marhaba, Naveen. Hi, Naveen. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Thank you for letting us have this really good presentation by Tom. But my question or my comment doesn't have anything to do with Rotary.
Oh.
It's just a personal thing to Tom.
That's what Rotary is part of it.
Tom, I want to ask you a question. You know, in 1979, Tom Hanks had his award from the film Forrest Gump. How comes your name have Tom and Gump?
You know, that is a great question. And I was just at a 9-district event Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I was introduced to the dinner plenarian Saturday night. And he did the whole thing as Forrest Gump. So he was talking in the slang of Forrest Gump, and he said, and then he started a veterans club, and Lieutenant Dan joined. And he went through the whole thing, and the whole audience was just cracking up. And at the end, I got called up to speak, and he handed me a box of chocolates. It was very clever. I don't know if he used artificial intelligence or not, but it was very clever. People loved it.
Yeah, because it's a combination of both, the film and the actor.
Yes. Well, thank you for remembering my name, and thank you for being so kind with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I got as lucky as Forrest Gump because I'm with all of you today. So I don't think there's any better prize I could have gotten than be with all you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Prakash. I have known Prakash for many, many years now.
Good evening.
Good evening, Naveen. Good evening, Tom. I left a regular club and we started an online hybrid passport club a few years back. Tom was there on our charter by virtual video. It was very interesting to hear that every club should have an e-club for Rotarians who, for some reason, want to leave their club. What about Rotarians who want to leave their district? Because the current rate, what is going on in India is districts getting bifurcated and trifurcated at a very fast pace. And we are adding members and losing Rotarians. How do we handle that? We are getting new people who don't know anything about Rotary. They are just being added and they don't even know basics. Like whenever I go to RLI, I get shocked that 99% don't even know what our core values are. I travel the whole year throughout the country and almost I think a few hundred Rotarians I meet during RLIs, and this is the current state where there has to be some basic process of adding Rotarians instead of just keeping on adding with the only intention of making bigger districts and bifurcating, because India is the only place which is growing at unsustainable place. Okay, I stopped my question. You got my question.
Yes, sir. And I love that question, and you are so right. I like to say that nobody leaves Rotary International. They leave a club. And that's usually because they don't feel comfortable in it. And if they got an orientation like mine that says, our club does this, this, and this, they don't know. I'd like to suggest to you something that I learned in the Philippines. They bring me in about once a quarter, and they have in various districts, they have a district-wide orientation. Once a quarter, everyone from any club, the 70 to 100 clubs they have, will come together and get the orientation at the same time. They have me come in and talk about the internationality of Rotary. They have me explain there's a club and there's a district and there's a zone and there's a region and there's a Rotary International. Then I can talk about there's fellowships, there's action groups. You can ride the Rose Bowl parade float with the president of Rotary if you want to. You can go, even if you're not a governor-elect, you can go to our International Assembly in Florida and pay to be an observer. You can go and listen to the value you can get from being part of our COL. There's so much value that Rotary has in the Learning Center everywhere. If you have a district-wide orientation, that message doesn't get lost. If you have a club orientation by itself, it gets lost. And if you have no orientation, then I'm worried. So thank you so much for the question. I wish we can get everything into 20 minutes. There's so much valuable questions. And if we wrap soon, because I know we have to, feel free to get your questions to Naveen or me, or to any of us. And I would like to continue this discussion.
I think, unfortunately, yes. We will have to take only one more question of Patrick so that we have all parts of the world are represented. So we'll take Patrick's question and then we will have to thank everyone. But please, actually, Tom, this means that maybe we will have you again next month in what we call an open mic meeting, where everybody will be coming in with in all the questions that we can think of. And get ready with what you will be talking about when Nancy calls you. So that's another thing. So this is one you have to be cautious of.
Yes, I think we have to have another meeting, Naveen.
Yes, we are going to have
very interesting.
We will have Patrick question, and then we will wrap it up, and we will set out the next day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Naveen. Mine actually was to help on one of the points that was raised about expatriates coming in and leaving for a club, and that was Joachim. I joined Rotary, not in my own country, but as an expatriate somewhere else. And that was 33 years ago, when I was working in a completely different country. As a very simple thing, anybody who leaves, anybody who's about to leave was always asked to bring somebody else in. At least not even new people, but people who are already there. If you're leaving, please replace yourself. What eventually we ended up doing was we created within our club what we called an induction process. So all the new expatriates who used to come in from different organizations, we took them around interesting things to do, including Rotary. And so the Rotary was at top of the mind before they got taken over by golf, by football, by all those things. So they had all that orientation, and effectively a lot of them eventually did join Rotary and do something else. So I think there's just a need to sort of innovate amongst the different HR managers, mainly. I think that's the people we got, and ask them to sort of and get them involved in this sort of a global orientation on things to do in Cairo. In my case, there were some things to do in Bintul, which is in the middle of nowhere in Malaysia. I just thought I'd share that. Thank you very much.
I think that's an excellent point. Excellent point. I mean, you think about it, so many people feel like when they learn about Rotary, they say, "Oh, I don't have time to go to a meeting." Da 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 da. But then they like the stuff that we do. We've had youth exchange host families that say, "I don't have time for Rotary, but I want to host an exchange student." Then they do it for 3 months, and then they end up joining Rotary. So you're right about your focus needs to be outward and not just to ourselves. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
دكتور
Thank you very
هشام
much.
شوقي عنده سؤال.
And I would like
نيفين.
to, yes.
دكتور هشام شوقي عنده سؤال.
أيوة أنا لسه بقفل يا محسن دقيقة واحدة. Okay, now I would like to actually thank Tom, and before we leave, yes, we are going to have the comments of our district governor, Hisham Shawi, and then afterwards our president, and then I will come back again to say what's next. Okay. Hisham, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Dr. Hisham,
Yes, yes, I'm
Yes.
okay. I'm muted. Thank you. Actually, I
Yeah.
had a question, but I think I'll move the question to next time because it's we'll discuss about it. I have to thank you, Niveen, again, and thank of course everybody. It was very interesting and very simplified way to go to the action plan, and it made it as a guidelines for different clubs, different districts to work on it for the 2030 numbers. I think we have to work on it. The only thing is, I always think the action plan is a circle rather than 4 pillars. That the first part of it, you go for impact, and that's for the project, and then you call for people to work with you, and then you engage people from your club, and then you add the adaptation to work the 3 first pillars. So it's a circle rather than 4 pillars. So I just have to leave this for discussion next time. Thank you, Tom, and thank everybody for the meeting. Thank you, of course, Niveen. Thanks for the 120, I think, that attended.
Yes,
it was very, very important and very lucrative. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Governor. And then we are going to have the words of Daniel. You had something to say?
Thank you so much, Naveen, and to all that help you to organize this meeting. And many thanks to Tom. It's always wonderful to see him. Tom, apart from being a director, is a very special Rotarian. And I would say that Tom is that kind of Rotarian that Rotary wants to have among its members. And I liked the presentation. It was very well structured, rich in content, and I very much liked the examples that Tom gave us, because they showed how the clubs and districts could apply the action plan from different cultural perspectives. So well done. Congratulations, Tom. And thank you so much for sharing your precious time with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. And our our past trustee, Geeta, would you like to, do you have any comments, anything you would like to add? Okay.
Sorry, Navin, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. I really thoroughly enjoyed listening to Tom and all his ideas. They were from theory to real action, so he gave us practical tips, and it was just very good for Rotarians to understand how to translate the written plan into real action. I think it was very simple and easy to follow. So I think we are going to see a lot of impact, a lot of ideas that have come across, and I'm sure all those listening in will try and adopt some of those practices. So thank you, Navin. Thank you, your team, and thank you Tom, and all those who attended. Great to see all my friends, Caroline and Dr. Shoki and Daniel, everybody. Thank you. Super meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Geeta. Now, I'd like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank all those from all over the districts. And I'd like to also thank the team. So, Tom, we are going to have we are going to have you again with us, and very soon. We are going to see which time you will be with us, so that you can have the time again. And also, we would like to announce that our coming series speaker is going to be a Rotary International Director, Emmanuel Katangoli, and he's going to be with us on the 24th of August. And very soon we will be sharing the flyer, and everyone is also welcome to join us. And we are going to have Tom with us. He will tell us when he is going to be free to have an open mic to continue part 2 of the cyclical action plan. So maybe this is how we can make it. So we are combining our district with Rotary International. So this is how we can think about it. And I wish everybody a good morning and a good day where you are starting your days, a good afternoon, and a good night as you are actually ending your day. And I wish everybody a good time. And I hope also that before I end, that everybody who felt the earthquake yesterday are safe and sound, because we had it in several countries. And thank you all. Thank you, our club. Thank you, our clubs. And see you soon in the coming meeting. See you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
Naveen.
everyone.
Thank you, Naveen, and hope to see you around for next week.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Keep your
Naveen.
questions
Thank
for the
you.
next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naveen. Bye, Naveen. Thank
See you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
from India.
Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody, for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you.
Okay.